So after the completion of the president and his qualifications, so let us now discuss about the election of president, how the president is elected. And in the election of the president, there is a separate unique body created called Electoral College. So this Electoral College plays a very important role in the election of president. And let us see what is this Electoral College. See, Electoral College is nothing but it is coming together of a group of people for electing the president. So a group of people will come together and they form a electoral body or college, and they later elect the president. And let us see what is the composition of electoral college. So this electoral college consists of elected members of both houses of parliament, that is directly elected members of Lok Sabha as well as the indirectly elected members of Rajya Sabha. Also, this electoral college includes the elected members of state legislative assemblies, that means the MLAs of all the states as well as the union territories of Delhi and Puducherry. So, elected members of both houses of parliament and elected members of state assemblies and union territories will together constitute the electoral college, and the nominated members who are sent to Lok Sabha. And so after the election, or after knowing about the composition of the electoral college, now let us understand how this electoral college will involve in the process of electing president. So there will be a number of contestants or contesting members will be there definitely. So there might be two, there might be three or four contesting members, and anybody who is contesting as a presidential candidate must have support of 50 members from the electoral college. So initially or in the beginning, 50 members from the electoral college should support the presidential candidate, and these 50 members were called proposers. That means they are proposing the name of a particular person. And later there will be 54 members. I mean, not 54, it is again there will be 50 members who will be supporting the decision of proposers. So 50 more members has to support the decision of the proposers, and they are called seconders. And earlier it was just only 10 proposers and 10 seconders, but later an ordinance was brought in 1997 and the number has been increased to 50. That means initially 50 members will propose a name of the candidate, and later another 50 members will support the candidate of proposers. So this is about proposers and seconders. And the presidential candidate is also supposed to deposit an amount of 15,000 rupees, so that this is a security deposit for the contesting of election candidates. And the system of president election is held in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote and secret election. So here there is three terminologies involved. One is, so the president now is having electoral college, and how they vote, what is the process of voting. So that is proportional representation through single transferable vote and by secret election or secret ballot system. So let us see what is this proportional representation, single transferable vote and secret ballot. Get doubt that who will conduct this president election. So the president election is generally conducted by the Election Commission of India. So before the expiry of the president's terms, that is, if there is a president who is functioning and his period is about to finish in 60 days, so from now the Election Commission will issue a notification and the election process will slowly start, because the manner of election conducted for the president is very unique, and it is, as I said, it is conducted based on the proportional representation through single transferable vote and secret ballot system. See, in this manner of election, there will be participation of MLAs from states, MPs from the respective parliament, and from MLA, the value of all the votes of MLAs is calculated by division of total population of the state by total number of elected members of that state legislative assembly. So first what will happen is the values of votes of MLAs of each state will be taken. For example, if there are some 100 MLAs in a particular state assembly, and each MLA's value of vote will be taken by using this formula called total population of the state by total number of MLAs into 1 by 100. So once they do, they will get vote value of each MLA from that particular state. Understood? So that means if there are 100 MLAs in that state, every MLA will get some value for his vote. So this is done by division of population of the states by total number of members of that assembly into 1 by 100. Similar with the case of the value of vote of an MP. So total value of votes of MLA. Suppose we got a value of vote of MLA from each state. So what we'll do is we have to sum up all the value of votes of all MLAs of all states. Suppose if there are 29 states and from each state we got some value of votes for MLAs of that particular state, and that all has to be added and it has to be divided with total number of elected MPs. So then we will get the value of vote of an MP. So after knowing the value of vote of an MLA and value of vote of an MP, so then the actual election process will begin, and now let us see how it will be proceeding. So after knowing the value of the MLAs and MPs, then the actual election process will begin. So where all the elected MLAs will vote or will cast their vote in their states, and all the member of parliaments will be will be casting their vote in the parliament hall. Okay, so there is a separate provision for MPs and MLAs. So now the election process of voting will start. So as the MLAs will be there in their own states, so they will vote in their own state, and the MPs, they have to go to the parliament hall and there they will vote. And here all the elected MLAs and MPs will be given ballot papers. So if you take to differentiate between the ballot papers of MPs and MLAs, what do you mean by ballot paper? It is a paper on which the MLAs and MPs will prefer or will tell their choice of president. That means to which candidate they are voting, to which president candidate they are voting. That paper will on that paper there will be name of the president candidate and they will be marking their choice, and that is called ballot paper. And this paper they'll go and drop in the ballot box. And see, these papers will be differentiated like green colored and pink colored. So green colored papers will be given for MPs and pink colored for MLAs. So to differentiate during the counting, so they have just separated between because the value of MP vote and the value of MLA vote is totally different. So to count the total, they have differentiated the color of the paper, and each ballot paper will contain the name of all candidates. And what now the MLAs and MPs will do, they will start proceeding to indicate their preference. For example, on a ballot paper, if there are names of 4 candidates, and the MLA will mark his choice of candidate, so other MLA will mark his choice of candidate. Here the process of making choices for the presidential candidate is called single transferable vote system. So what is this single transferable vote system? So here they'll be marking the preferences for the presidential candidate. So that will study in detail what is this marking of preference, what is the first marking 1 and marking 2. Okay, so let us see what are these markings. So proceeding with the manner of election, now we are with single transferable vote. So the case of election now is that the ballot papers are with MLAs and MPs, and they are going to mark the preference for the candidate they like. So the process followed here is single transferable vote. So what do you mean by single transferable vote? That means, see, in this all candidates that are listed will be given many preferences by electors. That means whoever is the list of candidates on their ballot paper, the MLAs or MPs, they'll mark their preference. Suppose if they like person 1, so they'll give first next to him, so that his choice is so and so person. And if his second, there is no need for mentioning second choice and all, but they may mark their order of preference. If 4 candidates are there on a ballot paper, 4 presidential candidates are there, and for the 4 candidates, the MLA or MP will mark his preference. Among the 4, first person will be given second, or the second person will be given 1, or third person will be given 1. Any choice, they can make order of their choice. And after the marking of choice is finished, then in this type of single transferable vote system, the first preference votes are always counted. So during the counting time, they will the election commission will first count the first preference votes, and if any candidate gets more than 50% of first preference votes, that means majority people voted first preference for a particular candidate, and if that majority persons are more than 50%, then with first preference votes he should have more than 50% candidates voted for him. And if more than 50% of first preference votes are proclaimed or procured by a particular presidential candidate, then he is declared as elected. And if no candidate gets 50% majority, for example, think that no candidate is getting 50% majority with first preference votes, then what they will do, the person who got least first preference votes will be eliminated from the list, and his second preference votes will be distributed to all the other candidates, to all the remaining candidates. And when the second time distribution, when the second preference votes were added, definitely there will be a change in the share of votes for every candidate. And now when when the eliminated candidates second preference votes are distributed to other candidates, then definitely one of the candidate will get more than 50% majority in his first preference votes. And if he doesn't get, again what will happen, the next least eliminated the next least first preference votes candidate will be eliminated. So this elimination and distribution vote will continue till any candidate reaches 50% majority or absolute majority. And once absolute majority comes, then that person will be declared as the winner. So now let us see how the counting process will go up. See, the ballot papers will be taken up from state wise and allotted to each candidate's tray. Suppose for example there are 2 candidates contesting for election, presidential election, Ramnath Kovind and Meera Kumar. So there will be 2 trays there, and each tray will be labeled as Ramnath Kovind and the other tray as Meera Kumar. So now the ballot papers from all the states will be taken to the Delhi, where suppose they will take the ballot papers from Andhra Pradesh, and they will see what are the to whom the MLAs have given first preference votes. So these MLAs, if they are given first preference votes for Ramnath Kovind, then all each MLA who has casted his vote with first preference, so all such ballot papers of belonging to Andhra Pradesh, they'll be kept with Ramnath Kovind's first preference votes. And later, suppose if there is an then they'll go for Uttar Pradesh. From Uttar Pradesh there will be many MLAs who will be casting their vote. So whoever has casted first preference votes for Ramnath Kovind, they will take all those ballot papers and keep in the first preference votes of Ramnath Kovind, you know, ballot. I mean, there is a tray, I said. And now from each state, each presidential candidate will be gaining some votes. So all this will be kept in their trays now. And after this, what happened? From each tray, the election, no, the returning officer there, they'll be counting people and all. So now they'll take each tray and they'll start counting how many votes they got. Suppose in a tray of Ramnath Kovind, there are, you know, ballot papers of, you take Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and everywhere. So each state has value of vote different. If you take an Andhra Pradesh MLA vote, okay, it will be 159, the value of vote. If you take the value of vote of an Uttar Pradesh MLA, it will be 208. Now, whoever, suppose Ramnath Kovind's tray is having all the ballot papers from all the states. Now, whoever has given first preference votes for Ramnath Kovind, all such ballot papers will be counted based upon the value of vote that particular state has. And even the same case with the MPs. So generally the value of ballot paper of any MP will be 708 because it will be pre-calculated, like, you know, I said it is a total addition of all value of votes of all states MLAs by total number of MPs. So hence 708 is the common value of vote of all MPs. So whoever MPs have voted first preference to a particular candidate, all such things will be counted, and adding up of all the value of each ballot paper of a candidate's tray will give the total number of votes polled for that particular candidate. So what you have to remember from the manner of election is it is completely indirect election. That means the people of the country will not directly vote for the president. So it is the representatives elected by the people will turn as electors and they will elect the presidential candidate. So you can look at the slide here, the manner of preference, they give for each candidate. There is candidate A, he is given second preference by particular person. Candidate B has first preference by a particular voter or elector. So this is how they give order of preference. And the Supreme Court will decide the disputes in the election of president. If any dispute arises or if any problem arises in the election of the president, then it is the Supreme Court who will decide the dispute. And why do you think India has adapted in kind of indirect election for the president? Because if the president is elected directly, he could become a rival center of power to Council of Ministers. That means we already have in Parliament, Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers who are directly elected by people from all the states or people from throughout the country. And if again president is elected directly by people, then there is a need for more power, vested with president. More power should be given to president. And if two power centers are created who derive their power from directly people, then they will both act as a enemies, like rival centers. That means who will have more power? Both have derived their power from people. Then who should have more powers? It will be a big rivalry. So to avoid such rivalry, already we have adopted parliamentary system of governance. So our constitutional makers have decided for indirect election for the president. And the president is likely to be elected by majority ruling party. Such a president could not represent constituent states of union. So here in indirect election, so generally already in the direct elections, prime minister and his council of ministers are elected, and obviously the majority party which is in ruling, which formed government, they will directly nominate the president, or not nomination, they will play a major role in the election of president. That means indirectly, to understand this, people have elected a particular party to power, and if that party gets majority only, then it will get into government. And now if that majority people elected government elects the president, then indirectly the president is to be elected by people itself. So it is actually a better process if you go for indirect election. And since the elected MPs and MLAs elect the president, he could represent the whole nation. So all the MLAs of the states will participate in the election of president, and MPs will participate in the election of president. Hence we can say that throughout nation has participated in the election of president. Even though people didn't voted, the representatives of people throughout the country has voted, and it represents a true national in character.